Friend Ron Morin joins us here, and we are so happy to have you here this morning.
Good morning.
And nice to see your face, and you're always in such a great mood, and it's contagious, isn't it?
It is.
That's what you say.
Oh, you got it already.
I already got it. That's right. I'm working my way through the book here. And we talked quite a bit about the book last time when you were on. And I talked to some people after the interview, and they were blown away by the story of the fire engine, how that was...
Squad 51.
Squad 51, how you bought that randomly.
Yeah.
And were able to get that but we don't want to give it all away. You do have a book talk that's coming up where you're going to discuss more in the book. Let's talk about that. It's going to be where and when?
At the Carabasset Valley Library at 4:30 on February 7th.
So I would encourage you to go down. It'll be in the Beacon Room, and you can bring some snacks. And what will they take away from that?
Well, I'm hoping that some of the old timers that were involved in rescue and fire back then, that they're going to know. The big thing about the book is that in August of 2020, I suffered a cardiac arrest. I had 100% blockage of a widowmaker artery, and I was dead. I was basically dead for 17 minutes. And I was saved by paramedics, and some of them that came from generations that probably I trained. And because in the earlier days of 1971, I brought the first EMT course into the state of Maine, and obviously taught EMT at the University of Maine at Farmington for 30 years. And so basically, I think being the grandfather of EMS will create some people to come and read the book and understand where our dinosaurs of EMS came from.
Right. And some of the firsts that took place.
A lot of the firsts.
A lot of the firsts. Yeah. And also there's a rich history in here. It's not, there, of course, the obvious in here, being the grandfather of EMS, and the godfather for that. We'll give you that title too. But also some of the rich history, the other things, the other roles that you played throughout the history of Sugarloaf is pretty interesting. You just mentioned one during the break, taking the original signs down. Maybe you could share that story, which I think is great.
When I moved into Carabasset Valley, it was at the same time the town was being formed. And
exciting time.
Incorporated. And Press Jordan very quickly became town manager. And the Board of Selectmen decided to have a town manager type of government. And I ended up being appointed as a constable in Carabasset Valley. I had a little bit of police experience in my hometown, Livermore Falls, before I came here. So I was the only one in town with that little experience, and they appointed me constable. And one of my duties was to go and change the signs when Jerusalem Township, Bigelow Township, and Sugarloaf Township became Carabasset Valley. Well, as I went out to pull down the old signs and put up the new sign, I discovered that two of them were already gone. Somebody beat me to the punch, but I ended up with the Sugarloaf sign, Sugarloaf Township sign, which later on in years hung up in my garage for many years, and I donated it to the Ski Museum, and it's still in the museum. Bruce Miles is in charge of that now. And at the same time, Press Jordan and I had a discussion about Dead River Company had a huge billboard coming into town, and it said, "Welcome to Carabasset Valley. From here on, your life will never be the same." Press and I decided that ought to come back, that saying, and so we petitioned the town's people. We created a petition, brought it to a town meeting, and recreated the sign that's at the beginning of town on both ends now. "Welcome to Carabasset Valley. From here on, your life will never be the same."
No truer statement ever made.
That certainly meant a lot to a lot of us, and we were so proud to be able to put that sign back up.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
And shortly thereafter, the town decided that we ought to have a fire truck. And unbeknownst to me, I was new in the fire department at the time. They went down to Knapp's garage and bought a Dodge pickup truck, and a Ted Berry company provided a slide-on water tank and an apple sprayer, which we called high-pressure sprayer, to become a firefighting apparatus. Well, Press called and said, "We don't have any place to store it." So I ended up emptying out one of the bays in my own garage on Poplar Stream Road, and we put the fire truck in my garage, and they paid me $1 a month for electricity.
Yeah.
And the heat and electricity was more like $300 a month.
And you could get away with it. You were code enforcement then too?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, okay.
No, but as a fire chief, I became fire chief shortly thereafter, and
That's funny.
basically I started to get into code enforcement business. Got too busy. I was running the rescue at the same time, and so we decided to hire a code enforcement officer. Along came Billy Gilmore.
Yeah.
Interviewed for the job. There was nobody better.
Right.
He was hired on, and I don't know, years after that, when Press decided to retire, Billy Gilmore became the town manager.
Yeah.
Billy Gilmore decided to retire and became the assessor on a part-time basis, and finally got into full retirement.
Yeah.
But,
Which he deserves. Yeah. I want to talk about last night's event. I'm sorry that you couldn't be there. I did send you the video to it. I'm glad they had a chance.
I was fascinated.
How about that, huh? $8,000.
Yeah.
Did you ever think?
No.
Imagine.
No.
And Steve kind of told the story, but you got that. Someone gave that to you.
Yes.
You requested that they save one. You must have known at some point. Tell us.
I was working in the first aid room during World Cup in 1971, and one of the ski patrollers came down and said, "What do you need?" And I said, "I need one of those gate flags." And he showed up at the end of the day and pulled it out of his coat and handed it to me. Now, that was 1971. 9 years ago, we moved from Carrabassett Valley to Wilton, and I started unpacking some boxes, and I recently found this flag folded up and stuffed away in one of these boxes where it had been since 1971. And I pulled it out and I said, "Wife, we need to donate this to the auction." My wife is a breast cancer survivor. She said, "You sure you want to do that?" I said, "I'm sure I want to do that." And happily to say, it raised $8,000 last night. Yeah, that's a good thing.
It's a great thing. $8,000, a great cause, and I haven't finished your book, but I've been pecking my way through it. It's not a big book, but I just read slow. But
I see you keep it on the windowsill.
I did keep it right here. Well, I had it in my bag. I brought it here today, and you were nice enough to autograph it for me. Will, you must have known Groovy.
Yes, and Seth has emailed or sent me messages on Facebook. He wanted those books so bad that I tossed in the World Cup ski books with the flag, and they went to whoever.
Right, I
bought
forgot
the
to
flag.
mention those. Those are the originals.
But he said, when you get done with those, I'll be glad to have those.
I bet he would, right? And his dad, of course, was legendary, of course, back in 1971 to have his picture in front of the trailers when they were on fire, posing like that.
Groovy Garbage Company.
Satisfaction guaranteed, or double your trash back was the
We
phrase.
haul all the shit in the valley.
Ron, this is the name of the book here, and I'm so glad that you took the time to do this, and I know that you had some help. I probably want to send a thank you out to the person who helped you write it.
Sawyer is a writer, and she volunteered to help me with that, and she worked with me for a whole year on that, and she's done a great job.
We should be very proud of it.
Yes, sir.
And we're so happy that you could join us. Thank you, Ron.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it very much. Thanks for
you
joining
very
us
much.
again.